This movie is the pinnacle of the pervert genre and became South Korea's first horror thriller restricted for excessive violence and blood, quickly taken down after its debut. Ultimately, the director cut many scenes and submitted for approval 3 times before it was barely released. The man's perverted salesman behavior left female friends trembling with fear, too scared to go out at night. Timid viewers should avoid satisfying their curiosity by watching the original. Without further ado, the story starts as a woman's car breaks down. She can only park the car by the roadside and wait for assistance. At this moment, a man suddenly appears and asks if she needs help. The woman says she has already called a tow truck and politely declines the man's kindness. The man then displays an eerie smile and leaves towards his own car. But after a few minutes, the woman realizes the man has no intention of leaving and, out of fear, turns on her car's headlights. Subsequently, the man drags the unconscious woman out of the car to his own slaughterhouse. He even carefully selects a butcher's knife. When the woman wakes up again, she's barely conscious and pleads with the man to spare her. The whole process was chilling to watch. During the dismemberment, the woman's ring fell beside the gutter. Chang Mao searched around but didn't find it. After handling the body, Chang Mao cleaned the bloodstains on the ground. The ring was also washed into the gutter. Soon, a child was playing by the river and discovered a plastic bag. Curious, he reached in and pulled out an ear, then reported it to the police. Police organized a thorough search of the scene, and it wasn't until evening that they collected the woman's body. Seeing his fiancée Xiao Li devastatedly grieved. At the funeral, he secretly vowed to make the murderer pay 100-fold. Since Xiao Li worked at the National Security Bureau, he used his position to have colleagues help him obtain a tracking capsule. Subsequently, he obtained information on 4 similar suspects. He focused on Chang Mao as the suspect, while Chang Mao was currently searching for his next victim. He saw a woman waiting for the bus, parked his car before her, and told her she'd missed the last bus. Offering a ride, his school bus appearance and kind uncle-like demeanor made her relax and accept. Still appearing as a kindly middle-aged man, she let her guard down and got into the car, but as he drove, Chang Mao parked the car on a secluded path, took out a steel pipe, and immediately revealed his true identity. Then he arrived at the slaughterhouse and grabbed a key. Afterward, he even meticulously groomed himself, resembling a twisted murderer like Xiao Jigong. Meanwhile, Xiao Li had arrived at Chang Mao's home and learned from his parents that Chang Mao was not living there anymore. Fortunately, Chang Mao's son revealed his address. Xiao Li quickly arrived at the twisted man's home and, after some searching, found a locked cabinet. She then used an iron rod to pry open the lock and open the drawer to see. Inside was nothing but women's underwear, a disgusting perversion. He continued searching his wife's belongings when suddenly noises came from behind. Xiao Li cautiously pushed the door open. The ground was covered with bloodstains that hadn't been cleaned up. Carefully, he found his fiancée's ring in the gutter. Now he could confirm that Chang Mao was the killer, making it hard to imagine the pain and torture his fiancée endured. Meanwhile, Chang Mao had captured a new victim. He was South Korea's top twisted serial killer, specializing in luring girls. After killing them, he would assault and then dismember them. That day, he had captured a female high school student. She was tightly bound by him and thrown on the ground. Just as he was about to commit the crime, he suddenly heard noises outside. He casually grabbed his curved knife and entered the shed. Xiao Li stood before him, tracking his location via the school bus. His face showed murderous intent, but Chang Mao, seeing he was alone, didn't take him seriously. Chang Mao grabbed his curved knife and wildly charged at Xiao Li, but Xiao Li easily dodged. The two engaged in a fierce fight, but for such a pushover, it was nothing. A homicidal hatred and unstoppable anger welled up in Xiao Li's heart. One afternoon, Xiao Li overpowered Chang Mao, tightly strangling him with a plastic bag until he passed out. Then he brutally smashed Chang Mao's head against a rock, but he still wasn't satisfied. Finally, he intended to kill Chang Mao with a rock, but remembering the pain and torture his wife endured, he couldn't let him die so easily. Xiao Li took out a tracking capsule and stuffed it into Chang Mao's mouth. Shortly after, Chang Mao woke up from the pain. He realized he wasn't killed and still had a medical bill remaining. Thinking he had encountered a lunatic, Chang Mao then hailed a taxi on the main road. He planned to go downtown to treat his wounds, but the 2 car passengers were masked master robbers. Sensing danger, Chang Mao drew a large machete. After the 2 were stabbed to death and everything was dealt with, he drove to a clinic and surprisingly developed malicious intentions toward a young nurse there. In a fit of animalistic rage, he trapped the girl in a room. The frightened young nurse kept retreating into the corner as Chang Mao forced her to undress. Watching this ferocious, perverted individual, he could do nothing, while Xiaoli followed all the way outside the clinic. He also heard the conversation. As Chang Mao was about to approach the girl, Xiaoli rushed in and grabbed the fire extinguisher, directly attacked. True to his word, he used a small knife to sever Chang Mao's tendons, then threw him onto the main road to continue their cat and mouse game. After this experience, Chang Mao wasn't scared and went to his perverted companion's home to team up with them to eliminate Xiaoli. However, during a meal, he became interested in Xiao Huzi's woman, frustrating him after Xiaoli's several attempts to stop him. After Xiao Huzi left, Chang Mao kept eyeing the woman who had finished collecting, but the woman dared not resist. He knew Chang Mao was a perverted murderer. When Xiao Huzi heard his wife's screams, he just smiled. He was sharpening his knife, then pulled a woman out of the basement. To properly treat his good brothers, he dragged the woman he had treasured for a long time to the kitchen, grabbed her by the hair, and threw her onto the chopping board. Preparing to chop her for a human meat barbecue, Xiaoli had infiltrated the room. Seeing things about to be ruined, Xiao Huzi grabbed a 40-meter knife and swung it, but was subdued by a move. His wrist was brutally severed. His other hand was secured to the table with a screwdriver, binding him like a dog. As he prepared to attack Xiao Huzi, Chang Mao heard the commotion, appeared outside the door, raised his sprayer, and charged at him. Realizing he was outmatched, Xiaoli fled to the second floor as Xiao Huzi struggled with the high-quality screwdriver. Xiaoli found a weapon in the room and then carefully checked the corridor, but ended up being ambushed by the woman behind him. Xiaoli continuously was squeezed out. Xiao Huzi knocked a woman unconscious to save himself, took a dagger, and stabbed him. Xiaoli quickly subdued him, grabbed a steel pipe, and fiercely pounded him. Chang Mao heard the commotion and came to the second floor. Xiaoli quickly scattered fishing hooks on the ground, and when Chang Mao approached with a spray bottle, he was caught. Xiaoli took advantage of the situation, attacking him with a blunt object and beating him for an hour before stopping. When Chang Mao woke, he was thrown into a mountain cave, recalling how Xiaoli consistently found him. Now he finally understood. Then Chang Mao rushed into a pharmacy, swallowed the entire bottle of laxatives he had bought, and used the locator inside his body to inform Xiaoli that he was about to start a furious revenge. Picking up a stick, he attacked the police violently, then stuffed the locator he had made into the police officer's mouth. He successfully used this method to evade Xiaoli's tracking, and soon arrived at Xiaoli's father-in-law's house. Knowing those hunting him were the pregnant girl's family, Chang Mao killed his barely alive father-in-law. The man lay on the ground holding a photo, asking for his sister-in-law but received no response. Outside the stone gate, the youngest daughter returned as the door opened. Xiaoli, upon learning his sister-in-law was violated, came home regretful, awaiting her entry. The body was thrown into a roadside garbage heap. Because he had let this pervert go time and time again, the family of his fiancée was also implicated. Xiaoli also received a call from Chang Mao. He declared he would surrender since Korea has no death penalty, potentially saving his life. He had arrived on the street, surrounded by police ready to take him in peacefully. But Xiaoli, furious, wouldn't make it easy. He drove up, yanked Chang Mao into the car, and returned to the slaughterhouse where Chang Mao was tied to the guillotine. At this moment, Chang Mao finally felt fear and began begging. For such a perverted demon, he would show no mercy and wouldn't handle it himself. Xiaoli made a mechanism with a rope and put the other end into Chang Mao's mouth. As long as his mouth loosens, the blade above would drop, leaving the locator beside. After Xiaoli departed, Chang Mao's parents learnt the news, and the slaughterhouse arrived then. Now Chang Mao was extremely afraid someone would open the door from outside, so he bit the rope tightly. Finally, the main door was opened. At the moment the gate fell, Chang Mao's head rolled right in front of his family. Xiaoli, wearing headphones, was listening to everything inside until there was no sound. He had finally completed his revenge. He felt no joy, collapsing and sobbing loudly. He was sorry for his fiancée and her implicated family. Despite bringing retribution, such revenge weighed heavily on him. But it didn't bring him any relief. For such twisted demons, they should have been swiftly dealt with earlier. What does everyone think? Looking forward to our next encounter.